Hello! Welcome back to another video where I just talk for however long I can think of topics to think of topics to think of topics to talk about, and sort of just speak into your little audio receptacle called your ears about things you might not give a fuck about. You might go, well, that's interesting, or you're just completely indifferent to. It's mostly just something to have on in the background while you're doing something. If you like background noise like myself, I always have some kind of background noise going, whether it's a Twitch stream, a YouTube video, or maybe just some music, depending on the mood I'm in, you know? A lot of the time it's usually just Twitch streams for me because, you know, they go on for a lot longer than videos. Some videos obviously are a couple hours in length, which is fine. Some videos are like 20 minutes, 30 minutes long. I don't want to have to change video all the time, so a lot of the time I'll look for a Twitch stream to watch. Usually it's someone I enjoy watching. If no one I want to watch is live, then I will just put music on, because I feel like sometimes I spend too long searching for a video to watch, and by that point I'm just staring at my monitor and I'm bored because I have taken too long to figure out what to do, and then I've lost the motivation to do anything. And that just seems to happen quite a lot. So, in saying that, this is going to fall under the category of something I probably wouldn't put on in the background unless I was going to sleep. If I'm going to sleep, then I'll put on a YouTube video because I know at some point it ends, and I prefer to wake up to silence rather than, I don't know, audio. I think it helps me sleep a little bit better too if it's not consistent audio, because it's, I don't know, it's got like a defined end. And I do like silence. I enjoy some silence every now and then. I think it's nice to have a bit of peace and quiet, but it does help me sort of put my head and my thoughts in order when I've got something going on in the background. It allows me to focus on one thing and sleep. Unless it's something I find incredibly interesting, then it's probably not a good sleep video. Like one video that I watched or put on in the background to listen to or to sleep to, I think it was a couple of years ago now, was the entire history of the Black Ops Zombies storyline. And that's like a 6-hour-ish video, I think. And I started listening to that one again, just because it's a really damn good video. If I remember to, I'll put it in the description, a little link to it, if that's something that interests you. But recently I started listening to it again as I'm going to sleep. And I noticed it didn't actually help me fall asleep in the slightest. Because whilst I'm listening to it, I'm actually a bit too invested. I enjoy the story too much. I genuinely think Black Ops Zombies, from like World at War through till, I'll give it till 4, Black Ops 4. This story is actually quite interesting. The background story, at the very least. All the like audio tapes and stuff like that. Stuff that you just wouldn't hear if you play the map is actually really good. Like the audio logs. There's so many interesting things in there. And obviously the actual main story itself is pretty interesting, but I just love the way that the background story is presented. I think it's one of the most interesting stories that I've had the pleasure of hearing. I don't know. There's something really cool about it. How it expands on the world so much more than just, it's like, oh wow, zombies, innit? You fucking play till you die, great. But no, it's just really good. I can highly recommend it, especially if you're busy doing something and you want a bit of background noise to accompany you. It's good. And then you know what? Maybe you get a bit invested in something you don't give a fuck about. And you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, this is pretty good. Me, nowadays, I didn't really play Black Ops 4 Zombies at all. I played a little bit here and there, but I didn't really buy Call of Duty after Black Ops 3. I enjoyed the hell out of Black Ops 3, don't get me wrong. I think the multiplayer was probably one of the last best CODs from my experience, in my opinion. I didn't, again, like I said, anything after that I didn't really buy or play, so maybe my opinion is a bit skewed, but certainly the best Zombies experience to date, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people would agree, purely because it still captured how all the other zombies up to that point felt, and it had a nice gameplay loop, unlike how, for some reason, you decide to try and reinvent the wheel with Black Ops 4 and then make some other changes alongside it that just didn't feel good. Like, oh, you know, I know I complain a lot, right? I'm gonna complain here really quickly. The things that perplex me that they changed in Black Ops 4 Zombies, the perk system. They explained why they changed it. Okay, I understand that. But then as a base, they end up giving you, like, the Juggernog perk pretty much anyway, off rip. And then you get some of the other... I can't remember the exact specifics. I think it was if you got all 4 perk slots filled, you got... Was it Speed Collar or was Speed Collar still? Anyway, I don't remember. I didn't play much of Black Ops 4 Zombies. I probably got like 5 hours total, maybe a little bit more. Wasn't my cup of tea, but that's alright. But in doing what they did, you would inherently still have crutch perks, because people are going to like specific ones that just like fit how it works in general now. So you just, I'm just going to run with these 4 all the time anyway. I usually do that with most things I like. It doesn't matter what game I'm playing. If I just like something, I'm very rarely going to swap it out because I like comforts, you know? Comforts are important things to have, but obviously it's important to go outside your comfort zone on certain things, but sometimes you don't need to, because why would you, right? Anyway, here's something I'll complain about. The shield, right? In Black Ops Zombies since Black Ops 2 and then Black Ops 3, because we didn't have shields in Black Ops 1. From memory. And there was some maps in Black Ops 2 that didn't have shields. I think Buried didn't have a shield. And you know what? Mob did. I don't know if Die Rise did. I've never played Die Rise, if I'm actually going to be honest. I never played Die Rise. Buried absolutely did, because there was the whole Richthofen thing. But anyway, Black Ops 4 Zombies, why did they do that to the shield? Why did they do that to the shield? That was so weird. Like, genuinely, it's so weird. Why am I having to pay for the shield every time? I don't like that. I think that's a really, really bad change they made. I know at this point it's a completely outdated topic to talk about, but it's still such a weird change to me that they thought, yeah, you know, we'll just make it something you have to use your points for now. Why? That's so weird. Also, like, why? You know, that's all I have to say, really. Why? That's all I have to say on that topic. Black Ops 4 Zombies, you did some weird things. Specialists, I don't know why we brought specialist weapons into it that you could just spawn off with rip. I think that's really unusual. I think you should have done it like you did with Black Ops 3 if you want specialists. Have it be a buildable or get it out of the box. Because at that point, at the very least, you've had to put some effort into getting something that's really strong. But anyway, Black Ops 4. Another thing that they really shouldn't have done was tried to start the Chaos storyline while also still trying to tell the original story. I can't remember what it's called. Because you got Chaos, and I think, is it just the Aether storyline at that point? Because now it's obviously Dark Aether. I don't want to even think about the new storyline. But, yeah, you got the original storyline and the Chaos one. Chaos, I think it would have been fine. I think, genuinely, if they put all their focus and efforts towards that would have been cool. But I think with the way they ended Black Ops 3 Zombies, there was probably not really, or evidently not a lot of room for them to try and begin a new storyline. Because people are invested in the original one more so than they are a new one. And it didn't really feel like 3's ending was very fulfilling. It's like, yeah, it was a cycle. Okay. So our characters don't actually get any sort of freedom whatsoever. Oh, by the way, here's now a new storyline that has nothing to do with this, but we're also now going to be telling you 2 stories. One of which has a bunch of new characters, a completely new world, and a new set of rules. And then you've got the original one that we're going to continue telling adjacent to. So, okay, cool, but just focus on one, because one's going to have to suffer at the price of the other, and I feel like you then lose a lot. And I feel like, again, I didn't play too much Black Ops 4 Zombies, so maybe I'm wrong, but from what I heard, a lot of people were actually interested in the Chaos storyline after the fact, much like how Shadows of Evil was a very, maybe not popular map on launch, but as time has gone on, people have been like, actually, you know what, this shit is pretty damn heat. But with the Chaos storyline, I genuinely think there's been a build-up of more interest in it, especially seeing as they started, I think, with, was it Black Ops 6, it's a Sentinel artifact, I think it's called, isn't it? They brought that up, and then they had, or is that from World War, no, was it Vanguard Zombies was the Sentinel artifact? I don't know. Anyway, point is, obviously people are interested in the Chaos storyline, and I think the Chaos storyline could have worked had it either been the main focus of Black Ops 4 or just introduced to us a little bit later. Like the first 3 maps or the first 3 DLC maps could have been just the focus on our original timeline and ending it, and then the final DLC map could have been an introduction to the Chaos storyline. And I think maybe that would have been a better way to do it, because then coming into Black Ops 6, Cold War it would have been at the time, we would have had expectations for a new story rather than randomly just throwing one in. And then we could have followed that knowing, okay, we've seen the ending of our original story. And then we wouldn't have had the new fandangled bullshit story that we currently have. I don't know too much about this story, the new story. I think it's really bad. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like what they're doing with it. I don't like the gameplay of any of the new Call of Duties, specifically because it's all Warzone-ified, Warzone-centric. Like, the armor system in Cold War and beyond is extremely unusual to me. We had zombie shields for a reason. To me, you'd keep the zombie shield. It became a staple. It was in every single Black Ops 3 map. It was in most Black Ops 2 maps. And you would always build it, and you'd be like, wow, crazy, zombie shield. Sometimes they had special effects, but you know what? Now we've taken that fun little gameplay aspect away from you, and instead you just fucking wear Warzone armor. And also, on top of that, I'm no longer complaining about Black Ops 4, but now Cold War and beyond. We have now given you weapon rarities. Right. Okay. I hate that. Because now with my mystery box spins, I have to worry about whether or not I get a goddamn decent tiered weapon. Yeah, you can upgrade the weapon tier, I'm pretty sure. But, again, you've changed the point system now as well, where it's not points per hit, but I think per kill. Perplexing. And I don't necessarily understand why that is. Because why are we changing things that just fundamentally worked for near no good reason? It will always confuse and perplex me. You don't need to do that. We could have just left it as it was. And now, obviously, with the release of Black Ops 7, which is like a really weird thing to say. Why the fuck are we already at 7? Technically, no, it is 7, isn't it? Because Cold War was the 4th one, then they said Black Ops 6, and then it's Black Ops 7. Okay. They brought back the original point system specifically for a different game mode. And I think that's fine. But I just don't know why they're so insistent on keeping it the way it is now. Why change up the gameplay loop that works so well for no reason? And also they brought back like all the staple perks that you would buy anyway with the original ones. Juggernog, Speed Cola, Double Tap, Stamina Up, all that shit. So the changes in Black Ops 4 just completely nullified. It's just like, okay, cool, that's nice. But why have you made these other changes? The scrap system, unusual. Not sure why that's a thing. Maybe that's like a fine addition. I actually don't mind it too much. I do think, obviously, with Cold War, it was a little overtuned because I don't know how many revives you could get overall. I think it was an unlimited amount, if I'm remembering correctly, or it might have been 3. I just don't remember. It's been that long, and I don't give a fuck. Obviously, I do because I'm complaining about it, but my point is I don't care enough to remember. But you diminish the experience, I feel, by taking away its identity and then putting in like Warzone's identity. Zombies has always been kind of its own thing with a mixture of little elements from other game modes here and there, like Ascension being the different side of, was it Launch on Black Ops 1? Is that what it was called? I can't remember. Just a different side of that map, right? And I think, again, that stuff is fine. I don't feel like it diminishes the experience because it still has all the atmosphere of a zombies map, Ascension. It's a great map. But when you come to newer maps, they just feel, for the most part, very bland and boring and very uninteresting. They sort of lack the zombies feeling, which is a point that a lot of people had. Or felt, I suppose, when it came to, I think it was 6 specifically with, what was that town map called on Black Ops 6, the small one? I don't remember. I played it and I did the Easter egg with a friend. I don't remember what it's called, but the point is, it just didn't feel like a zombies map. It felt like you loaded into a Gary's mod map and then you put a bunch of zombies on it and said, yeah, this is my next mod zombies map. Great, that's cool, but is this really the evolution of zombies? Now, I'm not saying I want every map to be Kino to Tone, right? But you look at Black Ops 3, there's a lot of variety in Black Ops 3 Zombies. You have so many damn good maps. You've got Der Eisendruck, was a beautiful map. It has so much going for it. Shadows of Evil, an amazing map. Laid out really well. It has a nice atmosphere. It feels like zombies. Every map in Black Ops 3 feels like zombies. Even 4 felt like zombies. I don't necessarily love how 4 plays, but the zombie map designs at least still felt like a zombie map, rather than just, here's an open area and you can just do a lot of things. I don't like that. You ruin the experience by that, and which is why I don't give a flying fuck about zombies nowadays. Which is why I go back and I play Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 2 or sometimes Black Ops 1 because they have the experiences that I like. And you know what? That's fine. Because I don't expect them to recreate or even recapture how it felt, because I don't think COD feels the same as it felt years ago now anyway. It feels like a completely separate game. Or maybe I've just changed as a person. Maybe the game still feels the same. I'm not the target audience anymore. I enjoy other things. That's fine. But zombies, I feel like, was something that I would always enjoy. Just not the way that they present it now. It just feels so uninspired and very uninteresting. Like, bringing back the OG 4 characters with a kind of redesign where it's very obvious, like it's, I don't know, it's like Temu version of Origins looking kind of characters. I don't hate it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think it's okay. Obviously, I think there are a few changes here and there with characters that are different enough from the Origin counterparts, but a lot of the time it just kind of looks like they've been built off of the Origin counterparts. I think Takeo looks different, a lot different, but then again, obviously, he's got a completely new voice actor because, unfortunately, I believe it's Tom Kane, who did the original voice, had a stroke, and as such has affected his ability to do voice acting, which is unfortunate, but yeah. I'm not going to complain about the fact that they replaced his voice actor. You can't really do a lot about that. It's unfortunate, but yeah, I don't know. But the thing that perplexes me with bringing back the original 4 is that with Black Ops 4 and how they ended that story, there was obviously this big goodbye to the series from the original cast. And I think that's nice, especially considering it would have been Tom Kane's final performance and he's saying goodbye with the rest of his colleagues, right? It's like, oh, bye. And now that just kind of feels maybe a little diminished because they've come back. And it's like, yeah, all right, I guess. But again, it's fine. You know? I think it's not for me anymore. Maybe one day I'll give it a proper crack, but it just doesn't really interest me at the moment. I just wanted to complain about something. And I have been doing so for almost 20 minutes. That's impressive. Alright, so that was cool. 20 minutes of complaining about something I don't really give a rat's ass about anymore. What's next? Let's have a look. So, in recent times, I believe it was within the last 2 weeks, the new Umumusume update came out with the Unity Cup, I think it's called, off the top of my head. In case you can't hear that, I've got a thunderstorm going on at the moment. Very cool. And that that has been fun, actually. I've appreciated that. Obviously, we've got the half-year anniversary event going on as well. And that's kind of got me back into the game, actually. I've been playing it a lot more than I was, because I took a kind of a break. I would launch the game and do a few things here and there, but I wasn't really doing runs a lot. I would maybe do one run a week, or maybe like a couple, depending on how I felt. But with the new content that's out, I do like it, because obviously it's made it a lot easier to level your horse to higher stats and then get a higher rating at the end. Because with the base cup, sure, you can get A rank to A rank plus horses, but unless you have focused like specifically on, you know, grinding your spark levels and also really, really leveling your horse potential alongside the other like little star things. I can't remember what that's called at the minute. I don't think that's potential, but that's something else and completely. Then getting above B plus was, for me personally, a struggle. I almost got there once. I was 20 points off getting an A on the normal cup, but obviously I didn't quite get there, which is like, okay. And then I played the Unity Cup and I got an A rank Ogre cap immediately. I was like, yeah, okay. That's nice. I like that it's simple and easy for that. I do think it's good, because that means a lot of people are now going to be able to get A rank horses and beyond a lot easier. Whether or not it'll make grinding for sparks more bearable, I don't know. I don't know if that will ever be bearable. I'm not really a grindy person, which is funny considering I've played nigh 1,000 hours of Warframe. But again, you get to a certain point in that game and all you really do is grind. And I can tell my brain off for that, which is easy and fine. You put music on and you just boop, go. But with Uma Musume specifically, I had a longer session than I've usually had with it, because I was just having fun and I wanted to get a decent run on a character. I enjoy playing Amazon quite a lot, Hishi Amazon. I also did like a Hishi Akabono run. That was fun. I fumbled it fucking hard at the end, but my Amazon run was really fun. I love Amazon. Great character. But it was a 4-hour session, by the way. I don't know. Again, this is just how I run. With games, sometimes I get big bursts of motivation to play them. And I know that will only last for a limited amount of time, so I try to get in as much as possible as I can before I know I'm going to inevitably get bored again and just not touch it for a while. This happens a lot with gacha games. And I want Uma Musume to be an exception, because I do really like it. I love it. The characters are great, the designs are great, and I think it's a fun gameplay loop that you can go back to and do really easily. Whether or not you want to watch all the races out or just skip it entirely, obviously, it depends on each person. Whether or not you want to read the story for each character, that's great. Me personally, my first run with Uma Musume obviously was Die with Scarlet. I think that's everyone's first run, because the tutorial is like blah, blah, blah. And then after the tutorial, I picked her again. I was like, I like this horse. And I did read all of the story, and I thought it was good. But every time after that, I've not really paid attention to any of the stories, and I've just skipped it, because I just want to get through and do it. Now, obviously, that means there's a lot there for me to actually do, because that means there's a lot of story I have missed. And I do want to get invested into it and do that, because I think that is a whole experience that I am missing out on that side of things. And so I probably will. But at a certain point, you kind of just want to focus on getting your horses' ranks high, so you have decent horses that you have like to use for the other sections of the game. And I think that's fun. But then obviously there's so much more that goes into it. It's such actually a crazily in-depth game. Genuinely a lot of fun. I enjoy it, because you're like, oh, if you have a great run with, let's say, Hishi Amazon, for example, and then you get amazing sparks, you can then use that horse, obviously, as an inspiration. Again, I can't remember what it's called, because all the words are currently escaping my head. You can then use that on a different horse, like Goldship, for example, where you can use Hishi Amazon's special ability on her, and that is like a direct buff to her for Goldship specifically, where you can, well, not specifically for Goldship, but for people who are also end closers or late surges, right? And it's just, poof, it's great. So there's a lot of things that you can do with other horses that directly complement other horses. And then obviously it goes vice versa, so you can do all that. I don't know, it's cool. I like the synergy that you can have between horses without even realizing. It's great. I like that. There's a lot of thought that goes into it, but also you don't need to put any thought into certain things. Obviously with cards that you have, you do need to put a little bit of thought into it, otherwise you might completely shaft yourself and have the worst cards or abilities level, like, there. You could be doing a pace chaser and all you're getting is front runner shit or end closer late surge. And you're like, oh, well, you know what? It would appear that I actually don't have any skills that I can buy. And you're like, well, shit. I guess I'm fucked. But, you know, that's just how the runs go sometimes. But with the new Unity Cup specifically, I actually really enjoy it. I think it's fun. It is kind of like... Oh, I need to sneeze. My apologies. These are unedited, so you'll hear that. So I can only apologize. Whew. But as I was saying, I think it's a lot of fun. I do like having to level up other horses alongside your own, and I also appreciate that you get stat boosts on top of the stats that you would get for doing that level with horses. I think that's cool. I like the aspect of bringing in kind of how multiplayer works for Uma Musume into the main story, because it adds a bit of a change to the gameplay loop, and that's nice. And I was thinking to myself, is that something that would genuinely actually bring me back into properly playing the game? For the most part, yes, just because obviously now I can go, I can get my horses to at least A rank very easily now. And that is a great reason for me to go through and do every single horse that I have and get them to an A rank so I can then level up my team level, right? And that's great. I love that. One thing I know, though, is when I was doing my Hishi Amazon run, even though my Amazon ran and won in her main race for the Unity Cup at the very end, because some other horses lost, because I probably didn't focus on leveling them up, I lost that. And it was the first time I had lost in the Unity Cup, and I was sitting there like, what? Are you serious? What the fuck is that? Obviously, you can't do too much about that, because once you fucking lose there's no retrying. Because unfortunately, you actually just have to grin and bear it. You've either done a good job and you've leveled it. It's the heart of the cards, you know. But when I looked at the stats, it was fine. There's like one or two things anyway, it's just how it played out. Unfortunate, but not the end of the world. I think it's fun. I do believe Uma Musume is still a lot of fun post-launch. Launch was a lot of fun for that game. I got... Not a lot as many people did, but I got around 80 hours just off rip. I know a lot of people played the fuck out of it and got over hundreds of hours very quickly. I unfortunately don't really have the time for that because I do work full-time. And I played a little bit on my phone, so there's a little bit more than like 80 hours. It's probably around about 100 hours, but realistically, I don't think I've played 20 hours of Uma Musume on my phone. Probably a little bit under that. But my point is, I can burn myself out on games really fast, and I kind of did that with Uma Musume because it was all I was playing for a large portion of time. But yeah, it's great fun. I can highly recommend it if you haven't picked it up, because it is fun, and it is free, and it's not incredibly big. And my favorite thing about Uma Musume is the gacha system. Every character that gets added to the game is in the game permanently. They just have banners for them that highlight them and give you a better chance of receiving them, which is nice. And then after their banner disappears, they're still in the pool. I believe I mentioned this in my previous yapping video, but I'm reiterating that because if you haven't seen it, you wouldn't know. And if you haven't played the game, well, you also wouldn't know. But yeah, no, it's pretty heat. I am going to pause my recording really quickly. You don't need to know that, but I'm telling you that for clarity, because I need to blow my nose. So I'll be right back. All right, fresh nose, blessed, blown nose, fantastic. All right, as I was saying, shit, what was I saying? I don't remember. Anyway, so I'm just gonna completely new point. Uma Musume, continuing with that specifically. With the main story and reading it, I don't have Rice Shower, unfortunately. I with the pulls, I have not been graced with Rice Shower, so I haven't done past the chapter 2 story, or really any of it, because when you are playing the main story, and you have certain characters who are the main focus of it, you get little boosts for the races you do if you have them as your horse racing, right? And in my head, I'm like, if I don't have Rice Shower, I don't want to do this chapter yet, because I want to do it with Rice Shower. So I am holding myself back from doing any of the main story and reading it, just because I don't have the character who features in it. Maybe that's stupid, and it probably really is, but I don't know. There's something special to having the character and doing the story with that character specifically, which is maybe my own thing I have to get over, but I don't know. I'm not complaining, by the way. I want to put that. I just want to make that clear. I'm not complaining. That's completely fair. It's a gacha game, right? I would like to get Rice Shower and then continue. I unfortunately don't have a lot of the base game characters. Well, that's not true. I have a lot of the base game characters. I just don't have Tokai Teo. I don't have Rice Shower. I don't have Taiki Shuttle. And you know what? From the base cast, I think that might be it. Because I believe everyone else I do have. But you know what? Let me have a quick look. I'm curious now. Genuinely. So, while I'm having a look, because I will do the same thing, or at least I initially would have done the same thing with Girls Frontline. When I was playing through the story and reading it, I would deliberately use characters that were only in said scenes, right? So, if there was a scene where it had Krolik, Groza, and Nemesis, then I would use those three. If there was a scene that didn't have Groza, I would take her off the field and then only use Nemesis and Krolik, and I think Colophon was there too, so, you know. Anyway. So, I would do that a lot, just because I like how it sort of felt like it is in the actual story. And I liked that. I think that's cool. And that's why I was saying in my previous thing, it would be cool if they could do a thing where they just give you the certain characters that are in the story to use as... It just makes sense. It tickles my brain. I like it, you know, and I think that's all that matters. You know? Alright, I've got my Uma Musume open on my phone really quickly. Let me have a quick little squiz, a quick little looky. Alright, who don't I have from the... Maruzensky was the other one I don't have as well. So I don't have Tokai Teo. I don't have Maruzensky. I do not have Taiki Shuttle. And I don't have Rice Shower. And I do believe that are that's the only base roster characters I don't have that are 3 stars. Outside of that, yeah, I do have all the other ones too, though. So Silent Suzuka, Ogre Cap, Special Week, you know, Major McQueen, all that. Anyway, so that's fine. I don't mind that I don't have these characters yet, because obviously the longer the game is out for, the more characters are in the roster, and the less likely I am to get specific ones when I'm only pulling on the rate up banners, right? So that's just a thing that happens. I pulled on Agnes Digital's banner the other day, and I got Eisenflash, which is good because I did want Eisenflash, and I didn't get Eisenflash when she was on the banner, because I'm waiting for specific horses to come through that I really like. Manhattan Cafe, Marikana Tannhauser, Calstone, Light O, and honestly, I don't know when they come, but when they come, I will be ready, and I will be fingers crossed hoping I get it. But like the thing with Uma Musume is, I believe it's worth pulling for every character if you really want them, but I don't think it's necessary unless you are trying to specifically cater to the meta, because there will be horses that come out that are just really damn good, and that is just how it is. Because they will have specific abilities that may benefit other horses in really good ways, like I was mentioning earlier with Hishi Amazon's skill with Gold Ship, for example. So that's what you can do, but I also believe that it's a good gacha game in the fact that if you just like a horse because you like that horse, you could just save up all your carrots and pull for that horse and not give a fuck about the fact that you didn't get another horse, because that horse even though it's not on the radar banner, is still in the pool. And you could very easily get that horse. And it functions in a similar way to, I'm going to say, My Hero Academia's gacha, Ultra Rumble specifically, where if you pull enough, you get points, and you can just straight up purchase that character. Don't get me wrong, I actually think that's a horrible fucking way to do it. Specifically with Ultra Rumble, where you can spend upwards of, I believe it's 600 to 700 Australian dollars to secure one character. Insane to me. Insane. But, meh. Anyway, I think I saw a thumbnail the other day. Someone made a video about why it's bad, and I think it's in $300 US for a single character, which is bad. Now, here's the thing with Uma Musume specifically. They're very generous with the carrots they hand out. I'm not saying Ultra Rumble isn't generous, because you do get a lot of tickets and a decent amount of pulls, and you can perpetually buy the Battle Pass so long as you get it max leveled, or at least to the level you need to get where you've got every single crystal, and that's fine. But it is ridiculously expensive. Now, with Uma Musume specifically, because it's so generous with the carrots, if you are saving up for specific characters that you want, and you do end up getting them, that's great. But if you don't, and you have to pull, I think it would be 20 10 pulls that you need to do to get, I think it would be 20 10 pulls that you would need to do, and that's a lot. Don't get me wrong, I think that is obviously a lot of pulls that you need to do, but then you can just claim the character. And along the way of doing that, you will have gotten a lot of characters anyway, and you then get a lot of resources out of it that you can actually put towards other things, which is nice, and I can appreciate that. With Ultra Rumble specifically, when you are pulling and you get a lot of duplicates, you get these things called Hero Souls, which honestly are kind of fucking useless, because you can use them to purchase different variants of outfits only once you've unlocked said outfit from the gacha. Now, okay, that's nice once you get the outfit, but if you don't have the outfit, you can't actually use your Hero Souls. Now, when you tell me there's a currency called Hero Souls, I would imagine you'd be able to use them to purchase hero characters, right? Whether it's a villain or a hero, it doesn't really matter. That's what the currency is called. I would have imagined you would be able to put those points towards unlocking characters. No, what their use is very limited and completely pointless. With Uma Musume's pulling system specifically, at the very least, you get the, I think it's one little chess piece per new character, or it might be dependent on rarity, I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. But my point is you get more stuff that you can actually use out of pulling than you would, say, in Ultra Rumble. Because you can directly benefit your character if you get duplicates, and that's great. It has a purpose, it's good, and I like it. Maybe it's a biased opinion, maybe it's the wrong opinion, but it's my opinion, you know? And that's the important thing. Anyway, so that's that specifically. My goodness gracious. Love it. Amazing. I love Uma Musume. Good game. I'm going to say it again. I recommend it if you want to have fun. It's actually very thrilling. There's nothing quite like sitting there and watching your horse race, and then it comes to like the final 200 meters, and they are head to head, nose to nose, dueling with another horse, and just last second, you manage to pull ahead. Or even when you are racing and your horse is so far ahead that you don't see another horse pass at all at the race line, at the finish line. It's so good. It is honestly one of the most exhilarating games that I have played in such a long time. It honestly makes me understand why my dad would be yelling and screaming at the TV screen at like 4 a.m. to a football game that he was watching. I get it. I understand it. It's exhilarating. It's thrilling. All right? You don't get this from a lot of other games. You know, there are hype moments, sure, but there's nothing quite like watching your motherfucking horse run as fast as humanly possible to get that win. And you're like, yeah, that shit was heat. I love that. That was good. Big fan of that. And obviously then you've got the whole aspect of finding horses that you like. I like that too. There's so many damn good, awesome horses in this game. And then there's a lot of gifts. I like using Uma Musume gifts. I'm one of those fucking losers. All of my friends know it. They're probably sick of it, but you know what? There's damn good gifts for that. And yeah, alright, Uma Musume, great game. Love it. Hopefully it's one that I continue playing for a long time coming, and I don't put it down, because there's a lot of good stuff coming for it, I believe. And I'm looking forward to it. I like this has literally just turned into me talking about games, like gacha games. Again, I said this is shit you either will care about or you won't give a fuck about. I have recently picked up Azure Lane again. Now, Azure Lane alongside Fate Grand Order, they are the two gacha games I have been playing the longest. Azure Lane, I had been playing for about 3-4 years straight, until about, I want to say maybe early this year, I kind of dropped it. I was doing dailies, weeklies, everything, every day. I was logging on, I was consistent with it for about 3 to 4 years straight, almost 4 years, I think. And then this year, I kind of dropped off because I started getting a little bit less interested in it. I'm now picking it back up again during the Data Live event, and honestly, it's still fun. I do like what they're doing with it. I don't know how much longer I'll continue with my consistent playing with it again, because it sort of comes in waves now. Obviously, originally, I do love Azure Lane. I think it's a great game. I love all the ships, but I feel like when I'm focusing on other games that I also really like, I don't really have too much time to remember Azure Lane now, because for me, it is just a skin collecting game where you spend a little bit of money every now and then on a skin for a ship you like, or you just play the events, and the events are fun. But I don't really care about the story that much for Azure Lane. It really is just about the gameplay loop that I found fun, and the skins and the characters that I really enjoyed. And that was good for me. I enjoyed it. Maybe one day I'll get into the story, but as it stands now, I don't give a fuck about it. It has never really captured my interest as a whole, and that is just how it is. Which is fine, you know? It is what it is. Maybe the story is really good. I know that there's been some beats that people actually talk about. People do like the story. I'm not too big on it, like I said, so that's just how it is. Gameplay though, I do like it. I'm surprised my clan kept me in the clan for as long as they did. Edelgard True Waifu, I believe is the clan name I'm in. Edelgard, obviously from Fire Emblem. She did nothing wrong. She's perfect in every single way, and that is just my opinion. And anyone else's opinion is wrong. So actually, my opinion is fact. Deal with that. Not my problem. It's your problem. But outside of that, yeah, what else? FGO I picked up again recently. I kind of dropped it again recently though. I'm on again, off again with FGO. I do think it's a lot of fun. That's one gacha game where I've consistently read the story throughout. But sometimes I play it and then there's a lot of reading in it, and that's fine. I do like that because it is I'd go as far as to say it is literally a visual novel strategy card game. I'm going to say card because it's scissors, paper, rock, card game kind of stuff. And it's fun. I do like it a lot. I think the story is really good. But again, with how I work, I will pick up a game. I will be addicted to it maybe for like a day or two. And then maybe a week, all right? Sometimes a month. But then I'll drop it and I won't touch it for a while. And then maybe I'll get back to it. Unfortunately, that is just how I am. A lot of the time, I will actually just be staring at my Steam library going, I could do something, but I'm just going to sit here and rot instead. That's just how it is. But good game. Highly recommend it. Again, I recommend most games I play, but if I were to recommend any gacha game to anybody, right now at the very least, it would be Uma Musume, because it's just that easy to open up and play. Azure Lane is, in the best way possible, very degenerate, with the skins at least, and even with some of the newer ship designs. So that one I wouldn't necessarily recommend to just anyone, because you need to have a very specific group of people who would be interested in playing Azure Lane for what it provides. And that I kind of fall under that umbrella of people, but not so much as I would have previously, because I don't know, I feel like I've kind of simmered down a little bit in recent times. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. I don't dislike it, but I don't know. My main interest is on things that just make me happy, and I think that's how it should be. Fate Grand Order, I think, is a lot of fun for people who like Fate. I love Fate, and it is a great game. And there is so much to it. There's a lot of story that's really good. There's a lot of characters. I just despise the goddamn gacha rates. I'm either the unluckiest person on the planet, or... No, it's definitely not me. The gacha is just abysmal. And it's expensive if you want to spend money on it. I have not spent a single dollar, I think, on Fate's gacha. I've spent money on fucking Honkai Star Rail. and a little bit on Genshin, even though I don't like Genshin. But Fate, which I love, I've not spent a single dollar on it because the currency is stupidly expensive, and on top of that, you don't get a lot. I believe it's like $60 for a single 10 pull, which is technically 11 because you do get the +1 character. Anyway, that's not the point. That's insanely expensive. I'm not about to sit down. I don't even know if that's Australian dollars, by the way, so that very well could be like American dollars. And if that is, fuck me. You cannot tell me that's a fucking justifiable purchase. It is not. It's an insane amount of money to spend to pull for something that I'm not going to get lucky with. I'm going to get some fuck-ass stupid craft essence that I already have. I don't want a 5-star craft essence. I want a fucking character, damn it. That's why I'm here. I like the characters. The craft essences have lovely art, don't get me wrong, but I don't look at the craft essence as much as I look at the character I play with. Anyway, that's my little outburst. I love Fate. Fate Granddaughter, great game. Good for the story, but fuck me. Also, while we're on the topic of gacha games still, I have completely dropped Star Rail. They did the Fate event. I got Saber, and then I pretty much called it a day. I didn't play the event or anything. I was kind of excited for it, but with Star Rail, I kind of lost all momentum, specifically because I felt like the story was okay. It was good in certain parts. It was amazing in some places, but it just kind of fell out of my scope of interest, I suppose. Especially when you miss out on a few characters here or there that are really meta and sort of define how the game plays now as the lifespan progresses of games. That always happens, I think, specifically with Hoyo games, or any game really that is a gacha game that follows the sort of Hoyo way of, I guess, character design. And I think that's fine. There's a lot of really amazing character designs for Star Rail, and I don't know, I think initially I didn't really worry or care too much because I had built characters that I really enjoyed using, but then there are some characters that you really want to get and you just don't get unless you spend money or have been saving up for specifically, and that kind of kills the momentum for me because the moment I don't get a character I want, I'm like, that sucks. Or the moment you miss out on a character that is near essential because it has some like special shit, like I missed out on Aventurine initially, and Aventurine was obviously a fucking amazing character to have for defense. And then, I don't remember the name of the one who came out and lets you revive your teammates after they die, but I think she had the Scythe, and I liked that character, but again, by this point I had completely stopped playing the game, so I just didn't get her. But I don't care anymore. Initially, I really loved Star Rail, and I thought I was going to be consistently playing it and going through, but I think with how the updates work as well as having to wait as long as you do for the new story to come out, it's very easy to lose momentum on that game and just go, I'm alright. I don't need this right now. And then you just go do other stuff, and then when the update does come out, you don't play it because you're like, I'm doing other stuff, I'll get to it eventually. And then you kind of keep that mentality, and then there's a few events that come out that have story, and you're like, and then you just miss out on so much story, and then by the time you go back to the game, you've missed out on so much that you're so far behind. There is hours worth of fucking gameplay and reading to do there, and I'm sure it's great, but I no longer give a fuck. Shame, really, but that's just what happened to me. I'm sure a lot of people who keep up to date with it probably still love the game. I, unfortunately, am not one of them. Zenless, kind of similar deal to that, except I'm a little bit more open to Zenless still because I really genuinely still do enjoy the gameplay loop it has. And I do think that for the most part, so long as you have decent characters with enough sort of variety in ability, status effects, and skill, you can still make it work. But obviously it still has the same issue as I would say Genshin or Star Rail does, where there will be characters that come out that are so absolutely cracked that you need to pull for them, or some characters that come out that work only very specifically well with another character that's about to come out, and if you don't get both of those characters, there's almost no point to you having that character, that it just killed my momentum to play. If you want to play for the story of Zenless, it's probably the best option you can do, because for the most part, you're able to play it with the trial characters that are present in the story, which I think is good. Which, like I've said, is something Girls Frontline 2 should do. They should consider it. I don't know if they have in the Chinese version or not, but on global, you can use trial characters for specific challenge modes, and that's great. But also, you should implement it into story so I can do the thing without having to, like, fuck up my brain worms, man. Like, I just want to be able to use specific characters who are present in the story because that fucking tickles my brain and I like it. And then I'm going to sit there and play and not just, like, put my Klukai or my Vector in so I can one-shot the entire map, call it a day on round fucking 1. But, yeah. Anyway, I feel like this was very similar to my previous, just randomly talking about stuff. So, if you haven't heard that one, that's chill. You've heard this one. I've been speaking for 50 minutes now, which is insane. I don't know if I'm finished talking. I'm just kind of running my mouth again, but it is what it is. I'm trying to think, what else would there be that I could possibly even talk about? I don't know. I've been playing... Is it A Night Alone? A Night in the Woods? I don't know if it's A Night Alone in the Woods or just A Night in the Woods. That's a story game that my a good friend recommended to me. And yeah, I've actually really been thoroughly enjoying that. It's nice to sit down and play a story game when a lot of the games I play, while they are like story focused, there's so many other aspects you have to worry about, whereas this is just, you are literally just playing a story focused game. And that's nice. I like that. Especially when it's got a really comfortable, sort of ominous, I guess, feeling to it. I don't know, it's hard to put into words, but it is really nice. So I've been enjoying that a lot too. I've not played too much of it. I think I've only played near about 5 or 6 hours. And one of those hours was spent specifically doing the little mini game on the laptop, where you go through all the levels. I think it was Dungeon Tower, I think. No, not Dungeon Tower, Demon Tower. And I accidentally killed some guy, I think, on the second floor. And it turns out, you kind of need to not kill that guy. So you can get a little code for something in the very last room on the tower. And yeah, that kind of fucked me over a little bit. So I'll need to go through and do that again. But story-wise, I think it's amazing. It's got some very beautiful visuals and a very nice soundtrack. The writing I like a lot too. It's funny, and it's got a good amount of... You can tell that it's got some seriousness to it. There is depth to it. It's not surface level. It's got... I like it. I really like it. So I'm excited to play more and experience the rest of the story. There's a lot you can do in it. There's a lot of people to talk to. There's a lot of story, and I imagine there's probably a lot of story that I will end up missing just because there is a lot. But then obviously that means there's replay value to it that you can go through and maybe find things that you didn't necessarily see before, or maybe even understand the story in a different perspective, which is very cool, and I like that. Recently, I picked up or bought Shin Megami Tensei V Vengeance, because it was on sale for the Black Friday sale and the Steam sale, obviously. So I haven't played that yet, but I've been meaning to get it for a while. I have seen my friend play a little bit of it, and I'm very excited to play it, actually. I'm looking forward to it, because the last Atlas game that I played and finished was Persona 3 Reload. I hadn't finished the Aegis DLC for it yet, but at that point I kind of just wasn't ready to continue with it. Persona 3 is still my favorite game of all time, like I said in the previous one. It is one of the only games I can think of off the top of my head that had such like an emotional impact for me. It was so damn good. I love that game. I'm so stupid that I literally put down in my calendar after I beat the game, this was the first time you beat the game for like ever. I'm like, that's like, it's kind of stupid, but for me, it's like I get to look back fondly on it and go, yeah, I did do that. Such a great game. Genuinely, I love it. It is my favorite game of all time. My favorite game series is Metal Gear, but somehow Persona 3 Reload is my favorite game of all time. People call it the edgy Persona. I kind of understand where they're coming from. I disagree. I just think it's more of a grounded story, which is a funny thing to say considering, but I just think it feels more real than, say, Persona 5, for example. Persona 5, don't get me twisted, amazing. I love Persona 5. The story, the whole, like, ending, and the other sort of, like... Well, I mean, like, the actual ending when you do the level Akechi and Kasumi's thingamabobs up, and Maruki as well. I think that ending specifically was beautiful. It hit hard. It was amazing. But Persona 3 specifically for me, like I said previously, hit me directly in spots where I was personally vulnerable. And to me, it's beautiful. Yes, call it the edgy Persona if you want to. But yeah, I get it. They point guns at their fucking heads to summon Persona. But like, you cannot tell me that the Evoker is not the coolest goddamn thing you've ever seen. I would fucking love to have one. In fact, I saw the cool fucking replica they came out with, but that's expensive as fuck. I cannot justify that purchase. I mean, I would, but I could just go and buy the water pistol Evoker instead. And I'm sure that'll do just as good because that looks fine. But it's so cool. I love it. I love Persona 3. I love the characters. I love the story, I love the world, I love the way it feels, I love the music, the soundtrack, obviously is the music, that's one thing I mentioned twice, but just differently. The ending, how it just, everything feels good, and the realization at the ending with what's going on is just like, oh my fucking god, and then the song at the end, and oh my fucking god, I can't listen to it without tearing up, man. I love Persona 3. It's so fucking good. It makes me happy. Such a good fucking game. I need to go back and finish the Aigis DLC. God damn. But I also have Metaphor to play. And because I already started Metaphor, I didn't want to continue it until I finished the Persona 3 Aigis DLC. So I haven't really touched Metaphor past how far I got into the demo. But now I've got Shin Megami Tensei V. And I'm like, fuck, that's too many Atlas games, and I can't really go from Atlas game to Atlas game because they're long, and they're a journey, and then you need some refactory period between whichever one you play. And then if you can hop between one and another, that's great for you, I'm happy, but after spending hundreds of hours getting to know characters, I kind of need some time to reflect on it and go, yeah, I fucking missed them, man, that fuck. Because once you're done with their story, I'm like, damn, I won't see these characters again. And I don't know. I don't know. It's beautiful. With Atlas games in general, I think they always deliver. People are gonna be like, Persona fans, blah blah blah. I know, but like, genuinely, if you look past that and you don't trap yourself in the cage of that kind of shit, there's a beautiful fucking soundtrack with amazing gameplay, great story. Just enjoy it. It's a role-playing game. You are not. You know, like, you don't box yourself into stupid cringe culture. Don't be fucking stupid. Play something and enjoy it. Look at it and like it. If it's not for you, that's fine, but don't put yourself in a box and not enjoy things because other people say things that are fucking stupid. Okay? Like, genuinely, open your mind beyond the fucking walls that you have built up and enjoy things. That's the beauty of life. Just don't be a fucking weirdo. That's just simple. Just be a normal human and you will be okay. Anyway, you know, I've spoken for 58 minutes now, and genuinely, like, I don't know. I think I probably need to start putting down some like dot points before I start recording. Because I think it would be interesting to think about what I'm actually going to speak about prior to recording, so I don't just have to fly off the seat of my pants and pray for the best. Because it could either translate very well or it could be very bad. And you know what? That's just how it is. So whether or not I will do another one of these, I don't know. I don't know how often I'll do these. I don't know if I'll keep them on this channel or put them onto my second channel because this doesn't really fit the usual content I make. But then again, my content is very, very, very rare to come out because I don't really do too much anymore in terms of YouTube. And I do just kind of like having a way to talk about things that I like and put out there. So I might just make this my main focus on content for now. Every now and then I might put out a normal like gaming video perhaps. But aside from that, yeah, I don't know. I think this is currently where I'm at, which is what I'm doing. This might just be an integrated thing into my channel completely. But we'll see. Maybe I'll put it onto my secondary channel. Maybe I won't. Anyway, thank you for giving me your time on this fine day. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Ooh, far out. Sorry, that's disgusting. Have a lovely rest of your evening, afternoon, morning, day, whatever time it is for you. Have a good night. If you haven't drank water today, hydrate yourself. If you haven't eaten, eat some food. If you have, congratulations, that's good. And that's all from me for now. Goodbye, and thank you for joining me.